every film session we've had this year has been heated. So, especially after a loss. So that's I wouldn't make a lot out of that. You know, we've had heated film sessions the entire season after a tough loss, and it should be. Every team I've been with has been that way. It's no different. You know, nothing was any different.
But the point being that, I guess from a coach's perspective, the response, right?
And we've always responded the same way all year. I mean, after every, I think if I remember correctly, most of our film sessions after a tough loss, the next game, we've always responded, you know, in the right way. So I wouldn't make a lot out of that. You know, we had a lot to talk about after that game.
A couple of the guys, and you may credit that discussion, at least in part, to bouncing back. I don't know how much detail you want to get into it, but what was the general message to the team after?
It's the same as always, defensive mistakes, offensive mistakes, the whole thing. I mean, it wasn't anything out of the ordinary, under the ordinary. It was a tough film set. We got beat by, what, 30? So I had a lot to talk about, but it wasn't anything out of the ordinary.
Wayne, how do you guard against the mistakes of Game 6 in the past? You've lost both on the road in Indiana and Miami last year. How do you guard against that repeating with the same group?
Doug, you know, it's human nature. As I said, going into last night's game, our MO has been to relax. You know, the great thing about it, we have great fans. We get all excited after winning the playoffs, and we let our guards down, and it's our job as a coaching staff and the leaders of the team's job is to not allow ourselves for human nature to take effect, to make sure we understand we got to play with a chip on our shoulder. And we're better when we do that because, again, they're going to come out on their home court the way they did game one. I mean, their first game there. And we got to understand that. We got to expect that. We can't be surprised by the speed of the game, the intensity of the game, the intensity of the crowd. We got to go in there with a mindset that, hey, we're going into a battle.
I know you do like to play quickly, but sometimes is it better to slow down a little bit at the start of those games, not to let it get frenetic?
Well, no. Well, you better play quickly to get back in transition, though, Doug. I mean, they're running. I mean, they were taking off, getting back, and we got lost in transition. Once their speed and athleticism, we got to agree. That's what I'm saying about playing fast, more so than we don't want to be in a windshield. Now, we want to run on turnovers and push it down to see what we can get to explore the defense before it gets set. But we don't want to get into a frenetic type game. But we got to be ready for their speed, athleticism, intensity, their toughness, the way they did, I guess it was in game 3.
Coach, when you make adjustments that seem to work so well, do the players become more receptive to anything you have to say now?
I mean, they've been hearing it now for how many years? So I just, you know, again, I'm just an old country boy from Kentucky that don't know very much, you know, not as slick as some, you know, but again, there's a method to the madness. So again, but the players, they've been receptive. We have smart players. Kyle is one of the smartest players in the league. DeMar is underrated with his intelligence, his intellect. Damari Carroll, you know, so we have some. Corey Josephs has been around. So we have some very intelligent players. So they understand, you know, when you do make changes, and because sometimes you make change and guys don't understand, it looks crazy, but they pick up pretty well.
Do you feel like you have a mental edge now with your experience over the young Bucks?
No, there's no. I think each game is different. Each game is different, different story. We got to go in with the mindset of toughness, that we're going into battle, and to meet their hard play, because they're going to come out guns a-blazing, and we got to be ready for that. And we weren't ready for that in Game 3, and we should take that as a lesson and not have another film session, as Josh was talking about.
First one of the year, right?
As the only one we've had this year, a bad film session.
So it's a test of the maturity of your team. You know, you look at the game 6s you have played since you've been here. It's not that they've been bad. They haven't been close.
Right. Well, I think, last year, Michael, I don't know how many teams in the playoffs, more so this year, it were blowouts. I don't know what was in the water last year, but there were a lot of blowouts in the playoff basketball for the entire league. But again, hopefully it is that we do learn from past experience in the game six and take that to heed and understand how hard it is in this league to close out a series. Whatever series it is the most difficult thing to do in the NBA is close out a series.
When Damari was in here earlier saying that you're not calling a lot of plays, you're letting, in the last couple games, letting them just play and flow. Does that speak to their collective basketball IQ or the style of defense you're playing?
Well, again, it's after turnovers. When you play good defense, you do have that freedom to play in drags and pistol and quick pin downs and just moving the basketball. So they do have that freedom. We've been that way all year to play that way, and that's the reward of playing good, excellent defenses. You don't have to hear a play call. Go ahead and play basketball. But last night I thought our mentality was to move the basketball. We got to have that same mentality in game six, to move the ball, to be willing to move the ball. The timeliness of moving the basketball has got to be there. I thought we went in game three trying to beat the pressure, to beat the double teams. You see two bodies in front of you, get off of it. That mentality we've got to have as we had last night.
Going back to the game six thing for a second, I mean, not to beat that horse, but all the players come in here and they did it last year too. It was like, we got to treat this like a game seven. We got to treat it, and so they're all saying the right things.
Right.
Why do you have confidence that this is going to be different this time? Is there anything that suggests it to you?
Well, again, if you've got to take heed to past experience and what happened to us last year, the year before that, and if you don't do that, then it's shame on them. And it's shame because believe me, we're saying it, they're saying it. So behavior has got to change, and the behavior of toughness. Again, Milwaukee's not going to come out and play some of their best basketball. You've got to expect that, and human behavior is amazing, Michael. So we'll see. Everybody, like you said, saying the same thing. We're preaching the fact that, hey, look what happened last year in Game 6. Look what happened the year before in Game 6. We're preaching that. And if we can't learn from our past mistakes, then that's on us.
The other night, Giannis was pretty effective. It seemed they were setting screens to get him on a small and walking him down the post whenever they could. Why are they effective doing that, and how do you counter that?
Well, they set some hellacious screens as one. They said a screen was almost impossible to switch, legal or not. We turn and pivot and screen someone. It's very difficult to get around to switch, but it's not something we want to live with and want to do. But like you said, sometimes you get caught in that situation where you have to switch. And the things that we got to do a better job is the things we're supposed to be doing on the backside. There's multiple things we're doing on the backside that we did not do, and that's why they shot 50-some-odd%. And believe me, I'm not sitting here thinking that we played pretty offense, but our defense, they shot 50-some%. And I don't know how many layups and dunks and post ups, how they carved us apart. And we got to make sure we are doing what we're supposed to do on the backside defensively.
Is that why Delvado is important in their scheme?
He's a hellacious screener. And now also Giannis is a good screener too, because what he does sometimes is in the pick and roll situation, he'll turn and pivot and pin the guy that's showing on him. And again, I don't want to get to give a scouting report, but he's doing a good job of screening to cause a switch. Both of them are.
Dwane, an extra day to get ready for Game 6, is that a good thing you view it as?
A what?
Is it a good thing? Do you view it as a positive? You have an extra day to get ready?
Yeah, good and bad, Zick. Sometimes if you're ready to go, let's go. And again, we have some nicks and bumps and bruises and soreness that we got to make sure we're ready for. And at this time of year, there's nobody 100% healthy. So I think that's the most important thing, is to make sure we're as healthy as we can get, and ready to go. We've got plenty of time to prepare. There's a lot of things we have to look at and work on defensively that we've got to change and adjust, to cover up to help on some of the situations in the post. But you never have enough time to prepare for that as far as that. But the day off, day between games, sometimes your body gets in a rhythm where you're ready to go if it's in the normal schedule.
You often describe playoffs as a chess match. Are you anticipating Kidd making a change?
Each game we talk about the different scenarios, what they could change, what they could switch, and we as coaches try to be prepared for what they might do and could do. You do that in every series, and you try to anticipate what might happen, and we've done that also for this game. We've been meeting all morning, so we'll be prepared for what might happen. But the most important thing that I do know will happen is they're going to come out and compete, and we've got to meet that compete level. Whether we talk about it, now we got to go out and do it in Game 6.
What about the crowd, Dwane? You mentioned.
They were a great crowd. They have a great crowd. But again, you come out and play with the compete level. We didn't do that in Game 3. In Game 4, I thought we played to our identity, and the crowd had, you take the crowd out by doing that, by playing to your identity, playing hard, not letting them outwork you on their home court. He's better. He's much better. Not much better, but he's better. I think the more he can keep, the people can keep working on it and loosening it up. I thought he did a heck of a job last night of playing through back stiffness. Taking charges doesn't help, but it's a great thing for us. But that's also putting your body in harm's way when you do have a back problem. But he did that, and that says a little bit about who he is, how tough a kid he is. Mm-hmm. He's done a heck of a job. Well, again, our team has done a heck of a job of helping Norm. I don't want to say that it's because a lot of times there's certain matchups, Leo, that we switch, and certain matchups we don't switch, and so there's a lot of matchups that Middleton's getting switched off on. But again, we're doing a better job of what we're supposed to be doing on the weak side, and from help positions with Middleton than with Antetokounmpo and Monroe. But Norm has come in and done a fantastic job of bringing energy, toughness on both ends of the floor. But he's done a solid job defensively when he's had the matchup with Middleton.
Wait, how's Snell getting his shots off? It seems like there are a lot of open looks.
Well, a lot of his, Zick, are in transition or broken play situations. He's one of those guys that always seems like he finds the opening. Leo knows this. There's certain guys that always seem like they know how to find the dead spots or the open spots to get open and to kind of hide. He does a great job of hiding on the weak side, and we haven't done a good job of finding him when it's in half-court play or in transition. So we've got to make sure we're on high alert to finding him. But he's just one of those guys that just seems like he knows how to get open and kind of sneak and to get open. And he's done a heck of a job with that. And we got to do a much better job of finding him and make him, feel us and make sure we challenge his shots.
Do you have to give Norman Powell any kind of confidence?
No, he's a mature young man. He's handled not playing, starting, coming off the bench. We forget that he's playing behind the All-Star and DeMar DeRozan. Again, Norm hit a stretch there that he didn't play, wasn't playing well, and he understood that. But he kept working. He works his behind off. He stays after practice. He's the first one in the gym in the morning, and he stayed ready. And his turn came, and he's made the most of it. Is much like last year. So, again, he's a great example to the rest of the players to make sure they're ready, prepared, because, I don't know a lot. I'm just an old coach from Kentucky, but I do know I will play who's getting the job done. I don't have any favorites when it comes to that. And, you know, if you're doing the job, you're working hard and doing what you're supposed to do on the floor and having results. You know, I don't discriminate when it comes to that.
But has Powell become a favorite?
Who?
Norm Powell, is he now like a favorite for you?
No, yeah, all the players. I don't have a favorite. I have the favorites are the one who's getting the job done, putting the numbers up and getting the stops defensively and doing what it is. You know, there's no favorites. You know, there's no doghouse. You know, nothing like that. You're either getting it done or you're not. And again, there's going to be ups and downs in playoff basketball at this time of year. Some guys are going to not be able to hit the side of a barn with a bass fiddle, as Coach Rupp used to say. But you know, there's going to be some nights you guys are going to be hot. So the key with us as a staff is to make sure we you know, identify who's getting it done, who's not getting it done, and matchups we like and the matchups we don't like. Again, it's going to be you know, ups and downs, ebbs and flows, and we mentally and physically have to be ready for it as a team.
Dwane, obviously, the presence of Norm has shifted the series. Did you anticipate his impact?
No, we were looking and we found it. I mean, you know, we were looking for Norm. Norm has normally came in and done what he's supposed to do as a starter. He hasn't been as effective coming off the bench for whatever reason, but as a starter, his numbers back it up. And you know, we needed something different. We needed speed and quickness, and he's that guy that provides that for us.
Dwane, a lot has been talked about in this series with Milwaukee's youth, two rookies in the starting five, and they generally are a fairly young team, often portrayed as an advantage perhaps of the youthful energy. But at the same time, did you see protect more so in last night's game where, say in that first quarter where they made a few turnovers, that the youthfulness kind of got the better of them?
Right. No, they're, you know, again, we're old team and we had turnovers in game 3. And so I think, you know, playoff, I think we had something to do with that, how hard we were playing, our intensity defensively, forcing catches out, not letting them set screens where they wanted to set screens, had something to do with that. They're a talented team. I mean, they're a team that's going to have to be reckoned with in the future with Antetokounmpo. And I'm sure they're going to add some pieces and take away some pieces. And so they're a handful now, and they're going to be a handful in the future. So, you know, we have to make that happen. It's not just going to happen because they're young, you know, because they've proven the fact that they can handle pressure, handle situations if you don't make them uncomfortable. And that's true with any team.
Sorry.
Hmm?
Comparison you can make between you, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, and Toronto 4 years ago in terms of you guys aren't quite as old as Brooklyn was, but an experienced team against a young team that's coming up.
No, yeah, Brooklyn was a different people. I mean, I don't know if we will know how good that team could have been. You have Kevin Garnett, Hall of Famer, Paul Pierce, Hall of Famer. Who else they have? Joe Johnson. Come on, I mean, you know, that was a veteran team, a playoff championship caliber team. Guys had won championships, Hall of Fame. I hope Kyle and DeMar are going to be in the Hall of Fame. But no, you know, that was a different animal. I thought Brooklyn was, but you know, it's a tough comparison.